Everyone else had a Richard Mille on, and then we had a huge party that night. After they left, when we went to pay the bill, they'd already paid our bill. The chef said, he said, you're all part of the same family. And that's incredible that a watch can do that, you know? Yeah. Alex, how are you, sir?
Very good. How are you?
It's a pleasure. So, you know, I had a great time with you in Geneva. We did this symposium, and it was about next generation watch leadership. And it was important to me also, you know, even as an old guy, I acknowledge that there's a changing of the guard. And a lot of the children of the guys who founded some of my favorite brands are now taking charge of them. And I have to say, after the symposium, I was like blown away. I was like, the watch industry is in great hands because, you know, to a point, every one of those people was so authentic, so humble, so appreciative, and so dedicated to what they wanted to achieve. But I think the person that, you know, really impressed me was you, because as soon as you started talking, everyone could feel the passion, and at the same time, everyone kind of loosened up, and they felt as if they could really jump in and really speak with their heart. So tell me a little bit about yourself, man. You know?
Oh wow, that's a big subject. First, thank you very much. Wait, that's it's true. It was very interesting that symposium. I'm very happy of the people we met there. You know, I'm going to see a hockey game with Ben at the end of October. I'm going to have a lunch with Pierre. It's just like very happy that thanks to you, you know, like this generation is not just only doing their thing on their side. It's like if we can succeed to create something, and like you say, we share a lot of common passion and common trait. So that already is big. So what do you want me to tell you about myself?
When did the calling happen? When was it that moment where you're like, you know what, I want to do this. This is really interesting to me. You know?
I think there's never been one clear moment. It's just like that's also I think why I'm very happy and very at ease in my position. That it's never been like a written nowhere. Like it was never a clear path. I did everything I wanted in my life. My parents were very cautious that their children needed to find their path by themselves. Follow their passion. My mom, since I'm a baby, always told me, I just want you to do what you want to do. And she was always taking the example, if you want to be a broke artist, you will be a broke artist. As long as you're happy, I will be happy. So as a children, we've always been raised like that. Very important. It was always very important for us. And my dad, he could have that pressure, you know, building what he built. That pressure to say, oh yeah, my children should take over me and things like that. It was never this situation. We are very lucky that in the company we are surrounded by people that are not per se family, per blood. They are not a blood family, but they are still family. And those people are doing a great job. And I'm thinking about all the ones that you know, Tim Malachar, Yves, Salva, Juju, all of these people could have done the job without me. They don't need necessarily the Mille family. It needed to be an add-on to the whole situation. And, you know, like I told you, I was just doing the internet banner for different websites, like Revolution website, things like that. You know, like those 120 pixel. I was doing that, and that was very formative for me because first I was working with my granddad. My grandbrother, which was always been like this hero that I was always looking up for. So he taught me a lot about the visual aspect of the brand because he's been working with my dad for, I don't know, probably 15 years now. And he is the one who told me, no, the logo cannot be that big, it needs to be that size, and the ratio between this and that. So that was very formative for me. Then I started to do the video, and that's also where I started to meet the people at the factory and people on the event and be like client and things like that. And I was always just the video guy. So obviously the watchmaker, they could start to see me being behind them and taking the video and asking questions because when you're a curious personality and it's watches, I mean, you know that, you want to know everything. That world is actually so interesting. You spend time with all of these people outside of the factory and you become friend first with them, first colleague, then friend, then they are brother. Very fast they become your brother because they realize they have this passion, this common passion for the brand that my dad created.
The family almost.
Yeah, exactly. And it becomes family.
Right.
And then every event that you do every meeting that you do, meaning every day, it's a family reunion. So everything gets easy. And then I went to America and created the same. And in America, I started to comprehend what my dad did. My dad most probably tried to create a little family here and there. Because you're never as good as when you are surrounded by the people you love. You will work way more efficiently with the people you love.
Sure.
And then I started to see that in America and realize the power that it is actually. And then moved back to Paris, now at the head of the Paris office, 25 people, and yeah, the 25 people that I love to death, and that definitely going to the office for me is going home. When you see what we succeed to build lunch after lunch, event after event, and watches after watches, you see the power of just being surrounded by friends and by family. So yeah, when my dad ultimately we discussed about it, and he said, I think it would be you. It was at that time when it was pretty much, I won't say obvious, but yeah, it was like, yeah, sure. It was never like the big pressure, you know, like, right. You're gonna be son, you're gonna take. It was like just a very like, yeah, sure, yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm working for that, so yeah, let's continue this way. So pretty straightforward. I'm very lucky now that he comes to the office very regularly in Paris, and you know, he arrives 11. We chit chat in my office, just him and I. Then we go have a drink at the office in the kitchen. We eat together. Most of the time, he will bring very interesting people. That's how I met Frédéric Arnaud. That's how I met so many good people. And then we finish lunch. We go up. He do a siesta on my couch. I'm working a little bit, going to see my team. Then he wake up, and then we start talking. And at 4, he leaves and go back home. And to have that with the guy that is at the same time your boss, your mentor, and your dad, you want, in a way, to be a little bit like this guy for everybody else. And I think that's always been the power of my dad, is that he knows how to inspire people. He knows to touch the right thing in the heart of the person to make it go way higher than what the person would have ever imagined. And if in my everyday job at the factory, at the office in Paris, or with the market, I can succeed to do that and prove people that yes, we can always go higher, and this individual person I care about, and I can help her to do even greater thing, I would have succeeded on the mission.
I love that. You know, one of the things I think is so unique about your father is he's a guy that's had 2 lives, one in the 20th century and one in the 3rd millennium, right? Yeah. And it's very interesting because I think from the moment I met him, he's always to me been like an example of very much 3rd millennium leadership, which is about ethical capitalism, right? Like for him, you know, like in the old days, in the 20th century, it was all about maximizing profit, no matter what happens to human beings and no matter what happens to the environment, you know? And for your dad, I was always struck by the fact that he wanted to make people's lives better. Yeah. Everyone, you know, everyone. The person that worked for him, the person that was serving coffee, the journalist that he was talking to, he just wanted their lives to be better. He cared, right? Yeah, and I think he's this extraordinary example that you can care about people. You can actually want to make their lives better. You can want to treat them well, and you can succeed immeasurably as well. And I think that that's one of the unique things about Richard Mille, which you're carrying that flag forward. And you know, you were talking about human equity yesterday when we were discussing it, about how much you care about the people in the manufacturer, in the office. I mean, it's those human beings, right? Yeah.
I don't want that message that is the human aspect of everything to become a marketing message. It's definitely not a marketing message. It's really caring about the people. And what I learned also a lot from my dad is that ultimately, what are you going to bring to the afterlife? And what are you going to leave behind you? Is it money? Is money the roots of everything? No, it's not. Ultimately, what you want is to make sure that first, you're happy with yourself and find that what makes you happy. And I realized, thanks to different moments of my life, that what makes me happy is to see my close one being happy. Very early in my life, with my sister and my brother, it was all about caring about each other and you know, like cooking for each other and very little thing, but you realize that making those people happy, helping them going through a hard time and just being there for you ultimately makes you happy. So what about doing that for 650% that are the people working for the brand, and make sure that those people are happy and the clients are happy, that everybody is happy, a maximum of percent. If you can touch them, you will have succeeded good.
Amazing. You know, it's interesting because I guess until Richard Mille came along, when people would talk about watch brands, they would always say, well, the watch brands that are immortal and that are the references will always be Rolex, there will always be Patek, you know, APA perhaps, you know. And now when people talk about those reference brands, the brands that are, you know, like at a position that's unassailable, that are permanently going to be here for, you know, immortality, they talk about Richard Mille also, you know, and it's been 20 years. It's probably the greatest success story of watchmaking of all time. And it was a success story that was created by breaking every conceivable rule, right? I mean, you know, how does that make you feel to see your dad have a vision and be able to achieve that vision in a way that is so original and so unique, you know?
For me, I learned who is my dad through the brand. And the key to that brand is also linked to his personality and the fact that he is like that. We have like the golden rules of what each new watch needs to be. Those golden rules are actually, you can attach them to every aspect of the man, and it's exactly him. It's the like, make sure that you're never bored. If a watch bores you and you realize that it's just a new reference for the sake of doing a new reference, why are we losing time doing that? I mean, obviously it's different. You can always come with new colorway and things like that because there's a real demand. Like, and when I say demand, is that client wants that. So for us, we'll still think about it. But the most important aspect for us is how we make sure that we always surprise ourselves, and we make sure that we always true to ourselves, and ultimately we will succeed to surprise people. Like yesterday, I don't think anybody was expecting the 88, the Smiley watch, and nobody was expecting that. And we want to make sure that either way, how you feel about the brand, at least you feel something.
Right.
At least you're not just like bored, look to our watch. You can hate the watch, it's okay. I always say that I really enjoy a good hater. Because at least you have something, you know, we talk about horology a lot, you and I, and it's a passion. So it's like movies, it's like music. I love a good debate. I love to discuss with people. So at least a movie, a TV show, a music, a watch that people are like either, or, oh wow, I love it. There's emotion there. And ultimately, what are we doing if not like looking for emotion to make our life a little bit happier?
I love that, and I think everything great artistically has to be polarizing. You know, I always love it when I interviewed Samuel L. Jackson and talking about Pulp Fiction, for example, which is one of my favorite films. And he said, you know, we were laughing when we were making this movie because we were sure no one would see it, but we loved it. And as a result of it being so individual and so unique, people fell in love with it because of that authenticity. And that's like Richard Mille watches as well, you know?
Now you need to really make sure that what you are doing, you're doing it for the good reason. And so us, it's always making sure that we feel something when we do those watches. And you know, the Smiley, it took us a long time to come to that final design, but it's the same with the UP, it's the same with everything. It's just, we need to make sure that for us, it seems like we have something to say, and not just like doing a thing to do a thing. When it comes down to art, to again movies or music, we all know at the time directors or musicians that will do an album because they needed money. We are very lucky now that we can pretty much just do what we want to do. And being independent and being that strong today, we don't see that as a comfortable seat. We see that as a pressure to make sure that we continue this way. And my dad, you know, is very, very vocal about that. Like, we need to always shake the tree a little bit more with each watch.
Amazing. You know, we were talking earlier about I mean, the situation today is that there's such a huge delta between the capacity to supply and the number of people that want your watches, and as a result, the secondary pricing of the watches has skyrocketed. You know, and actually, interestingly, it was one of the very few brands that was not dramatically affected by the crypto crash. You know, which was amazing to see the stability of the values too. But do you sometimes worry that people then regard the watches too much as assets? You know, we were discussing how it's sad if someone buys something and then they never wear it; they put it in the safe. Yeah. Although in your case, you could probably wear it because most of them are shock-proof and scratch-proof and you know, all of those kind of things.
Even the UPs.
Even the UP, yes, in particular the UP. It's a shame, you know, in fact, if someone doesn't put it on and use it, right?
Ultimately, we are careful and we love to make sure that we always find a good wrist for our watches. It's difficult to do each little object, and you know there's only that much time in the world to do. So we know it's going to be a short run. If one of them is in the safe and never seeing the light of day, yeah, that's sad. Like we were saying, is we live in an industry where we make product objects that are vibrating. Everything is so alive in a watch. What I love about RM watches, and especially the in-house movement, but obviously also the APLL one and the Vaucher one, is that you know that each of these pieces have been touched by a human being.
Yes.
So you know that this watch, ultimately, it's the concentrated effort of all of these people at the factory. So obviously there's the factory, 200 people, but there's also our supplier, and you know, it's like the whole Canton du Jura that vibrated to succeed to make that watch and that short run of 50 watches. So, but when you see the tourbillon running, when you see the whole mechanism move and everything like that, you know that ultimately it's the vibration of people that are there. So yes, it's like a car that you buy and that end up in a garage and never see the light of day, and the engine is never actually running. Yeah, that's sad. Now it will be very weird to complain about the situation of the brand. It's good. It's just like give us a little bit more pressure to make sure that it's the right person that will enjoy the watch as it should, that is having the watch on his wrist.
Amazing. You know, when you look at the list of the top brands in the world and you see the ones that have exceeded, you know, $1 billion Swiss francs in terms of revenue, there's only one where if you look at the annual production, it says 5,000 pieces. Yeah. And, you know, I mean, that's an extraordinary position to be in, and it's a category that has never existed until Richard Mille invented this category. Mm-hmm. I mean, is it even a watch anymore, or is it something, has it transcended even the genre, you know?
I mean, to the core, it's definitely still a watch, because you know, all of these people, they have the horology in their blood, so obviously it's a watch. Now, is it more than a watch? I don't think it's for me to say. If you ask me, it's definitely more than a watch. It's my whole life, all my friends, all my family, everything that I have in my life is linked to that watch, to that beating heart of the watch, of the brand. And so yeah, for me, it's way more than watches and that just object, because I know everything that have been put into that piece. Now, if where you want to go, is it a piece of art or thing like that? Ultimately, I don't think it's our spot to decide about that. You will be way more at ease to say that.
Yeah, I can't say one thing that I find very intriguing about Richard Mille. It's simultaneously the watch with probably the highest point of entry in terms of price, and yet the people that own it are the most laid-back people that I know, yeah. Right? Like, and I think that this is because of what your father created, this community where, you know, your father doesn't shake people's hands, he hugs them, you know? He knows everyone by their first name. Everyone's always like, you know, treated equally. And I've every time I've met another Mille guy with a Richard Mille on my wrist, it's just like the most laid-back, fun conversation. I mean, I used this situation that happened to me in Tokyo, where, you know, I was going to the toilet and the guy grabbed my hand.
The famous.
Yeah, and then the 6 seats there, all, you know, everyone else had a Richard Mille on, and then we had a huge party that night. After they left, when we went to pay the bill, they'd already paid our bill because we're part of. He said, the chef said, he said you're all part of the same family, and that's incredible that a watch can do that, you know.
Yeah. But like you say, the moment you really try an RM watch, the moment you go to one of our events, even though it will be a small dinner, even though it will be a ski clinic with a team or with my sister or with our partner, it can be any scale. Like we just come from Chantilly, where it was like, let's say 200 people. There will be the Grand Prix. Like every scale of an event, you realize that yeah, you have exactly that feeling. You can have all the different type of person, all the different type. They come with their expectation of what will be that event, because we know them, like every other industry or every other brand will do an event when it's like pretty uptight and things like that. Yeah, we definitely not like that, because we do the event that look like us. And you know, Amanda, my sister, she's now in charge of the event, and she brings that soul into the event. You know, he was already there before, don't get me wrong. We don't have to be uptight. I don't really care about if you are a customer, if you are a supplier, if you are a teammate, if you are like a crew that is just like helping us pouring the wine or whatever. We are just like, we are all one and the same. We are just human. At the end of the day, we are just human. Yeah. So yeah, it's a real congregation of people. And when you dress like we dress, the lines are pretty blurred between who is who. So yeah, that's definitely the case. I do hope that naturally, and it's not again something that is forced, I do hope that naturally people feel that there's a different vibe with the brand. And I was in New York 3 weeks ago for the bridge, and our booth became the go-to booth. And it was just like a bunch of people that never met before, that just gathered, and they were just exchanging watches and like, oh wow, you have this one, because they are all like, you don't see them very often. Even I, like the one you're wearing, trust me, is probably the third time in my life that I saw it. And in the bridge, you could see watches that I never saw before. So obviously for the client, it's the same. So it's always, you have that curiosity, and right away, it's like, oh, you enjoy that? I'm gonna enjoy you. Because obviously we have at least one common point, and from that we can do. And in the bridge, like he was in Chantilly this weekend, you can see people from diverse background, completely like a very rich New Yorker, a finance guy, with a new artist, with like all of these people, like you shake them and then you put them together, and no one is better than the next guy, and it's just like a bunch of friends. And at the end of the day, they exchange number and they become friends. And then on the next event, we see them, and then it's, you know, like.
That's awesome. Okay, 2 last questions for you. How important is it for you that even, you know, a guy that walks into, say, the boutique in New York, you know, and I've had this experience as well, even though there's no watches to buy, like the guy still who was there still offered me a coffee, sat me down and told me all about the brand, right? And I actually felt that was amazing, because understandably, because they're scarce now, it's not so simple to just be able to purchase a watch. But he still took all the time that and I kind of felt like after 45 minutes, he would have been happy to stay for another 45 minutes as well.
I'm sure it would.
Like, how important is that for you to engage with people, even if there's not a watch to sell, but just to tell them the story, you know, in the best way possible? Right?
So for me, there's 2 sides to your question. There's 2 very important things that we work hard with Tim, my right-hand man, for the boutique. The first thing is that you should always be welcome. You should always be welcome, whoever you are. If you think that the person doesn't have the money or will never have the money to buy an item, we don't care about that. There's no product to sell anyway.
Right.
So don't judge anyone, and you should just be happy. If you're passionate about the brand, you should be happy to share the passion anyway.
That's correct.
And the passion about horology. And we should find ourselves pretty lucky if we have that person that maybe never in his life he will have enough money to buy an RM. Okay, but if he end up being addicted to horology, and he buys swatches, and he buys G-Shock, and he buy like, you know, anything from you have a full spectrum of horology. We should be happy that we participate to that. It's not only about us. Again, we are in the scarcity mode, so there's nothing to sell. So just be happy during your day that you take care of people. Now, spending time and talking about the passion of the brand, I think if you don't see, and if as a salesperson you're not able to see the passion in that brand, is that you didn't understand the brand. This brand is everything about passion. Yeah. This brand would have never existed without passion. Passion from my dad for cars, for everything, like everything he was so passionate about, you feel it in the watches. And since the last, let's say, 5 years, you can feel the passion of Cecile in the watches. You can feel the passion of Juju, Salva, and all of their team in the watches. You can feel my passion, the passion of my sister, and everything is about passion. If you're not passionate, move on. Like, yeah, you shouldn't be anywhere close that brand. It's all about that.
Totally agree. Last question is perfect because you mentioned Cecile, who's Dominique's daughter.
Yeah.
You mentioned Amanda, your sister, and then globally also you have like your brothers and sisters like Brian here, and you've got in Los Angeles you've got Greg,
Yeah.
and in London you've got Peter's
Tilly.
daughter
Yeah.
Tilly, exactly. And so tell me a little bit about how it's like this generational shift is occurring. You guys have all grown up. What's the relationship that you all have with each other, and how do you help each other?
I mean, for me, it's always about the people. It's always about I won't do my job, and I know that I always we have a pact, very clear pact with my dad. Is that if tomorrow he thinks that I'm not suitable for that position anymore, he will tell me. And I always tell myself, if I'm not suitable for I don't want to do any harm to the brand. I just want to help the brand. So if I'm not suited for that, I will go. The only reason I'm waking up every day and I'm happy to open my WhatsApp and see all the message is because I know that I will have message from America. I know that I will have message from Asia and from Japan and from Europe. And it's again down to those people. Plus everybody that I talk about is thanks to those people that the brand is living and is what it is. So my relationship with Brian is my brother. He's like brother from another mother, but definitely a brother. And all his team is the same. What I love about the relationship with Brian, with Cleveland, with Jasper, is that we do trust each other to death. They know where my heart is, and they know I never try to do anything wrong. I never do things for myself. I always do things for the brand. I always put my ego on the side. It's always for the brand that I make a decision, that I ask for something. Anything can be learned from the organization of RM is that when you succeed to bring a family like that together, you're so efficient.
Wow.
Working with Brian is a text away from making a decision that I'm pretty sure for other groups it will take billions of meetings. In the meantime, the decision will have been changed and remodeled and whatever. For us, is directly, we do that. Bro, how are you? Yeah, okay. I was thinking, should we do that? Oh yeah, bro, no. And then we done it. And we discuss and then we do. Right away we do. And I think that's also a big, what this brand has been growing so fast. It's also because of the relationship prior my dad had with Dave, with John, with Peter, is we do trust each other to death, and the moment we decide something, the decision is right away going to the whole organization. It's the same with Greg, exactly the same with John, his father, the same with Tilly, and exactly the same with Peter, but it's exactly the same with Japan, and Keta now, he wants to have his daughter also participating to the business. So, it's like the next generation, it just makes sense. And also, the reason why the shift has been happening so smoothly, it's because you have this intermediate generation, the Tim Malachar,
yes.
the Eddie,
yes.
the Anton, Dominique in America, the Justin, like all of those people in all the market that have been helping also a lot. I know the focus is very often on us, the children, because it's easy. But we should never forget about all the people, on the commercial part on my side, very important, but on the marketing side, on the communication side, at the factory, all of these people, the brand would have been nothing without nothing. Like you cannot have the will of one person to do everything. You need to create that family and make sure that everybody understands exactly where you come from. And 20 years later, you might succeed to have that. And the way you should really continue what you do. We were talking yesterday with Tim Malachar. And the way I say it is that when he was our father, like the generation, you were seen as the very hip young guy breaking the rules with the magazine and with the lifestyle and everything that you were bringing. And now it's our generation coming and you're seen as the big brother. And I told Tim yesterday, and Wei is going to end up being like the wise guy. You will always look like, oh, look at him, he's so stylish and he knows a lot about the brand. Like I told you, I read everything you wrote about the brand.
Oh,
but
thanks.
You will end up being like the wise guy on the mountain that we will go and listen to. It's just like exactly like that. And I love to see how the growth the growth have been. Not saying that you started little, far from it, but it's very interesting to see how everything, like the growth from everyone in this industry and the path we are all following like that. So yeah, you should definitely continue, and you're very, very, very important for what we are doing, to give a lot of insight and to explain the reason why we are so madly in love with those products. We need people like you, and yeah.
It's a pleasure, brother, and you continue to create just the most inspiring stuff, and you guys are the coolest guys. So thank you, man.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Cool, guys. Thank you.